Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going somewhere incredibly ordinary. The grocery store. Think about it, bright lights, music, aisles of food. We go there all the time, barely give it a second thought, we assume it's safe. But sometimes, beneath that surface level normality, some really unsettling, even genuinely frightening things can happen. We've gathered some real accounts, stories shared online that honestly might make you look over your shoulder next time you're grabbing milk.
It's true. It's kind of fascinating and disturbing how these very familiar places like a supermarket can suddenly become the backdrop for some very strange and sometimes dangerous human behavior. So our mission today, if you like, is to unpack some of these stories, understand the patterns, how things can go from just a bit weird to properly scary.
Okay, let's dive in. Our first story comes from a cashier. He worked in a small college town in Mississippi. Now, he said he was used to seeing eccentric locals, but this one guy really stood out. He described his walk as sort of stomping, grabbing a basket, then speeding around the store. Tall guy, overweight, bushy beard, long hair, always wore sunglasses. And our narrator, he admits he's a people watcher, so he was immediately kind of fascinated. But here's the first odd thing. The guy makes a beeline right for his checkout lane, which the cashier thought was weird because, he said, all the other cashiers were, quote, attractive college girls, and he was, well, just a guy. So trying to be friendly, he starts some small talk. And this is where it gets, really unsettling. The man just calmly says he'd been held captive in the woods, in the Carolinas, for 70 days, that he was subjected to government experiments. I mean, wow. Yeah,
wow is right. That's an immediate massive red flag, isn't it? You're hearing signs of potential delusion right away, this fixed belief, government experiments. It's alarming. But sometimes these narratives can be weirdly consistent, which is paradoxically sometimes a feature of, strong delusional states. And the cashier, he's skeptical, maybe a bit curious, but he doesn't immediately report it. Understandable, maybe, but risky.
Right. And it didn't end there. After paying, the guy goes to the entrance, stands there for 5 minutes, just staring outside at what he called his rape van. I mean, just the term itself is chilling. Pacing back and forth, huffing loudly. Then he gets in and drives off. But he comes back over the next few months, every few weeks or so, he returns. And he always seeks out this specific cashier, always, and tells him more stories. Abductions, hiding out in the Smoky Mountains, even describing the inside of a spaceship once.
Oh yeah, patent. The recurring visits, the increasingly elaborate fantastical stories. It suggests something quite deeply rooted psychologically to escalating, even if it's just verbally at this point. But the potential for something more is, it's clearly there.
And tragically, it did escalate. One day, the man comes in. The cashier notes he seemed more sporadic and paranoid than usual. There's a pregnant woman in the same aisle. She turns to make some small talk with him, just being friendly. Our narrator's watching. He always kept an eye on this guy. And then it happens. The man just attacks her, starts punching her repeatedly in the stomach. And he's yelling, "You're harboring one of them and I'll kill you if you don't kill it." Just horrific. Thankfully, the cashier and some other guys jumped in immediately, subdued him, held him until the police got there. By the time the police arrived, apparently he'd calmed right down. Back to his, quote, normal self. He told the cops he didn't have an ID because it was raced by the government. The cashier told the police everything, all the previous encounters, the weird stories. But here's the really unnerving part. He never found out what happened after that. What the police did, where the man went, just nothing.
That's deeply disturbing. Seeing that sudden switch from seemingly contained delusion to just brutal, unprovoked violence. It's a terrifying example of how someone's distorted reality can just erupt, with almost no warning. It's a huge relief the woman and her baby were ultimately okay, but that lack of follow-up, that uncertainty, it's unfortunately common and leaves this lingering sense of unease, doesn't it?
It really does. A chilling reminder of how fast things can turn. But not all unsettling encounters start with something so obviously alarming as, claiming government abduction. Sometimes it's much subtler, a slow creep. Which brings us to our next story, also from a university town. Our narrator, a woman this time, was just shopping for dinner. In the dairy aisle, a man approaches her. Late 40s, maybe early 50s, long, greasy ponytail, kind of dirty clothes. He starts off giving her advice she didn't ask for, about using ricotta versus cottage cheese and lasagna. Okay, maybe a bit odd, but fine. Then he launches into these weird anecdotes. Claimed he had a white tiger as a pet. Said he made his own homemade hot sauce, and he just keeps talking for 20 minutes. She's stuck there.
Yeah, and right there, that's the shift, isn't it? From potentially awkward small talk to someone ignoring social cues, the persistence, the weird topics. It immediately makes you uncomfortable. Even though he's not explicitly threatening her yet, those are early warning signs, disregarding boundaries.
Exactly. She tries to politely get away, but then he gets really pushy. He starts inviting her to his place. "Come to my place and make hot sauce with me," said he just lived up the mountain. She says no, repeatedly, but he keeps insisting. Luckily, another woman nearby overheard how weird it was getting and basically stepped in, told him to leave her alone. As he's leaving, though, he hands the narrator this homemade business card for a photoshopping company, not a chef or hot sauce maker. Tells her to call him for hot sauce, or maybe a drink. So she watches him leave the store, waits a bit, then goes to pay. But when she walks outside, he's there, waiting for her. She quickly says she's getting a cab, trying to hide that she was actually planning to walk. He tries to insist they share one. She flags one down, jumps in, refuses to let him in, and as the cab drives off, he actually yells "fucking bitch" at her.
Okay, so now it's moved way beyond just creepy. This is active aggression, clear harassment, the waiting outside, the attempt to share the cab, the verbal abuse, and that fake business card. That's really concerning. It points towards deception, maybe predatory intent. Stalking behavior often involves this kind of testing boundaries, manufactured identity. It's a serious breach of safety.
And it gets so much worse. The cab drops her off at her place. And she immediately sees his car, parked just 2 houses down. He followed her home, and he just sits there, watching her house, for maybe 15 minutes, until her roommate's boyfriend pulls up. Then finally he drives away. Terrifying. But the story doesn't quite end there. Less than a week later, her roommates are out. The front door was accidentally left unlocked. An intruder gets into their apartment, tries her bedroom door, which was locked, thankfully. They stole a laptop and a picture. Just a picture. Now, she can't prove it was him, but she had this really strong gut feeling it was connected. It left her feeling totally unsafe, even in her own home, and wondering, who else he might have done this to. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Another type of creepy encounter. This one more rooted in routine. This comes from a cashier again. About an older male customer. Seemed harmless, friendly even. He was a regular, came in every single week, same time, bought the exact same things, always had specific ways he wanted them bagged. Just, a fixture.
And that regularity, that routine, it can build this false sense of security, can't it? You see the same person, they seem predictable, maybe even a bit lonely or eccentric, and you might not pick up on underlying issues. Sometimes this kind of predictability can actually be part of grooming behavior, establishing familiarity before escalating things.
Well, that familiarity completely shattered one night. The man comes through her checkout lane, just like always. After she rings him up, he asks her when her break is. She says she doesn't know, which she probably wouldn't tell him anyway. But then he says, "I have something for you in my car. You could come out on your break and take it. I'll wait for you." She repeats she doesn't know her break time. So then he says, "I have an even better idea. I will get it for you and bring it here." Oh, okay. Alarm bells definitely ringing now. She tells her manager immediately. The manager keeps an eye out. And sure enough, maybe 15 minutes later, the man comes back. He's holding a manila folder, and he just stands there at the end of her checkout lane, watching her for over an hour, just staring, not talking to anyone, not buying anything, just intense, unbroken eye contact.
Wow, that's extreme. That level of focused attention, that prolonged staring in a public place after being essentially rebuffed, that's moved way beyond just being a regular. It's obsessive. It's a form of monitoring, really, which is a hallmark of stalking. Deeply unhealthy fixation.
Her manager eventually went over, told him he needed to leave. The customer said he had something for the cashier and told the supervisor to give it to her. He left the folder. The manager took it. He and the cashier's girlfriend, who also worked there, opened it together, and apparently the color just drained from their faces. Inside were hundreds of sexual love poems written for the cashier and his deceased mother combined. Can you even imagine? She said she felt instantly sick. They called the police. They reviewed the security camera footage, which clearly showed him standing there staring for all that time. Thankfully, there was enough for a restraining order, and he was legally banned from the store. When the police called him about it, he just hung up immediately. She never saw him again, thank God.
That is just profoundly disturbing. It shows how something that looks like harmless familiarity on the surface can hide a really pathological level of obsession. And the content of those poems, mixing the cashier with his dead mother, it points to a really twisted internal world. It also really highlights how crucial it is that the manager took it seriously. They documented it with the cameras and involved the police. Swift action is key in these situations.
Absolutely. Okay, one last account for today, and this one is maybe the most direct, the most overtly frightening. The narrator was just doing her regular grocery shopping, pretty standard stuff. But she starts noticing this man. He seems to be in the same aisles as her. His cart only has one item in it. Then when she gets to the checkout, he's right behind her.
These are those little things, aren't they? Those subtle cues our intuition picks up on. That feeling of being watched, someone seeming just a bit too present. These can be pre-attack indicators, signs that something isn't right, even before anything explicit happens.
Yeah. So she pays, leaves, goes to the gas station right next door to the grocery store, and the same man is there. In a truck, just idling nearby. She still tries to rationalize it, maybe it's just a coincidence. But then she gets back to her apartment complex. She's getting groceries out of her trunk, and he appears, just walks up to her. His truck is nowhere in sight. She asks him, can I help you? He nods, and then he says it. Just chillingly direct. Just you. He goes on, I saw you at the store and knew I had to follow you home. I had to know where you lived. I just need to touch your boobs.
Oh my God. That directness is absolutely terrifying. There's no ambiguity there at all. It's an immediate, explicit threat. Confessing to stalking her, stating his intent. It's a complete violation of her safety right there in front of her home. Just shocking.
And then he actually reached for her. Her reaction was instant. She dropped all her groceries, just turned and ran. She called her next door neighbor, who is a friend of her husband's. She waited by the complex office, terrified. And she saw the man drive past slowly in a blue pickup truck this time. When her neighbor came and walked her back to her car, all the groceries she dropped, they were gone. He'd taken them from her truck, just gone. So these stories, they're all different, but they paint this really unsettling picture, don't they? These places we think of as completely mundane, totally safe grocery stores can actually be sites for some deeply disturbing, even dangerous encounters. It's not just isolated weirdness. There are patterns here: delusion turning violent, obsessive stalking, outright predatory behavior, things escalating from just feeling off to being genuinely terrifying.
Absolutely. And what these stories really hammer home is the importance of trusting that gut feeling, that intuition. When something feels wrong, even if you can't quite put your finger on why, it's often picking up on something real. Vigilance matters, even in familiar places. Because as these accounts show, safety can be more fragile than we like to think. That violation of boundaries is the common thread.
So maybe the question for you listening is, what does this mean as you go about your day in those everyday spaces like the supermarket? How do you balance trusting that intuition, listening to that little voice, with just living your life and assuming a basic level of safety? It's worth thinking about, isn't it? Reflecting on your own familiar environments and the unexpected, maybe unsettling things they might hold just beneath the surface. Where are you really?